my reference folder is full of whatever I see on Header. That's why I was so excited to talk to you about this project, because I just can't stop but wonder, how do you get these ideas to make, for example, this, especially, I'm so sorry, I'm so in love with the making of. I'm so in love with the making of. And it just makes me wonder, how do you get these ideas for making of? Does it start from just a music, or were you planning it way before, or it was just a bunch of like, oh, I've seen this reference before and I feel like I want to use that idea here? How did this making of come to life?
I think it's all of it. I don't think I found the music afterwards, but I all of it, or basically this came to be just by I had created so much stuff, so much content throughout the process of making the
Yeah,
main film.
yeah.
And there were all these like tests and a lot of happy accidents. Just in my Dropbox basically,
Yeah,
that didn't make it into the final thing.
yeah,
That I just, for such a big project, and I was, like you said, it was mostly me.
yeah,
I just wanted to make more and like squeeze more
yeah.
out of this process.
Mm,
And just also, I know people appreciate seeing what's happening behind the scenes and how certain
see,
things are made.
yeah.
And I've never made a behind the scenes like this, so it was just fun to make like this. And I enjoy video editing. I enjoy editing to music, and it was just having more fun. Really, I had a lot of fun making the main film, so I just wanted to have more fun basically, and
Oh,
use all the stuff that I hadn't used.
by any coincidence, did you happen to start? Because I used to work with a colleague of mine. He's an amazing concept artist. Lars Soig. In case you get to,
I know the name.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's an amazing hard surface artist. Amazing. And he just started with, would you believe that? He started with Counter Strike. So I just want to ask you, did you start the same way? Editing
Did I?
Counter Strike videos to like to the audio or Call of Duty or whatever gameplay that you're having when you just
No,
started motion
I
design?
no, I used to do that. It wasn't Counter Strike for me. It was other video games that I played.
Battlefield?
But I used to make like music videos from video game trailers
Ah,
and footage. That's how I got into video editing, and then from that to After Effects and motion design.
and then your video editing, usually you use After Effects as well for it.
I use Premiere for editing, and then
Oh,
um
oh,
yeah,
man, I
everything.
wanted you to comfort me a bit because I do everything inside of After Effects. It's a
No, I mean
nightmare.
you have to use Premiere because it's the previews are just take too long in After
Yeah.
Effects.
Man, I'm just so like the first thing I do, I open After Effects, and then whenever I had something, even UI design, would you believe so? Even UI design, and everyone at Dice, they just couldn't believe. They were like, "No, you don't." At that time, there was Framer, not Figma. It was like,
Mm.
"You don't use Framer, you don't use Photoshop." I'm like, "No, no, I use After Effects." How do you do the grid? Well, I just render the grid, and I make it inside of After Effects, and then I work with it inside of After Effects. So it was like
I used to do
everything.
that too. I used when I started like the first few years, I did everything in After Effects. I designed and animated in After Effects and finished in After Effects. But
Yeah,
then I learned to use Illustrator more and realized like you can just use work faster with vectors in Illustrator and then import it into After Effects.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
But
Some,
so I understand why,
yeah.
because it's nice to have everything in one place, but
Mm.
um, you can just
Oh,
get so much more detailed and faster when you work in Illustrator.
yeah. I see, I see, I see. But tell me this. I'm just gonna jump into it. Sorry, my mind is everywhere. Um, this thing here. How did you get this idea? The tunnel, man. The tunnel. Oh, the tunnel. Oh,
That came from because it was all basically I did everything for this except the design of the car itself and the music.
mm,
So I really enjoyed and had fun with creating some kind of loose story for this piece.
Ah.
Um, I wanted to make something more interesting than just car renders and random abstract shots, and a lot of it is abstract,
Mm.
motion design. But I wanted to have, I wanted to have
Something
some
else.
ideas to back up the
Same.
sequence and all the shots.
Mm.
So basically, the tunnel idea came from just like, wouldn't it be cool to pull, like, if you're pulling a camera, or like, what if there's this refractive dimension inside of the headlights of a car, and then you're pulling the
Ah.
camera out of that um, to land at the front of the car, looking at the car.
Ah. So
So that's
that.
just that, like looking at headlight. I looked at a lot of headlights,
Yeah.
real car headlights, and the
Yeah.
textures and all those, little details that go in there, and then just went to town and
Ah.
like tried to design something cool and interesting that could, and abstract and
Yeah.
imaginative, that alludes to car headlights and a sort of different dimension.
So that explains why you went with the spherical kind of fisheye view. Was that
Hmm.
the fisheye? Was it done inside of Cinema 4D or is it After Effect?
Yeah, it's a fisheye lens or camera
Oh,
in cinema.
oh. Uh, can you actually still make it even the recent versions? Because
Yeah,
I was able to do it in Octane and I don't know what happened. I came this year, I updated Octane, and I can't find the fisheye option anymore.
I can't speak to Octane because I haven't used it in a few years. But in Redshift, you can just you create a camera, and then you can make it like different types of cameras. And one
See.
of them is a fisheye.
Oh,
I'm sure it's something simple like that for Octane
something.
too. They've
Oh.
just moved the button somewhere else, I'm sure.
Okay. Here I'm gonna put a wild guess because man, I've played with this pack right here. Hold on. This has saved my ass. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. This little pack here. Where is it? Um, I'm not sure how famous it is, but the aberration pack, man. Oh, that aberration pack has saved me so many
Nice.
times where I just needed to get stuff out. I can't find it. That's weird.
It's somewhere.
Yeah, but my guess would be these lights. These are not lights. This is an HDRI that is using the chromatic that aberration pack, right? Oh, it's
Yeah,
so beautiful.
there are no lights. Yes, basically, yeah. It's like a dome, and all the reflections and everything catch the color from the dome.
So there is no need to use at that time. I guess there is no need to use lights at all. Then.
Well, basically, if you have a glass object that's
Mm,
see through,
mm,
um, it doesn't really catch lighting in the same way as a solid object. So you basically have to work with reflections and refracting
yeah.
um, bright elements,
Mm,
basically like bright cards or like a bright sphere, like if you put a big sphere or
yeah.
a dome around everything,
Yeah.
and that has all the colors and the brightness that you want,
Yeah.
you'll basically use that instead to refract through the geometry.
Ah, I see. Wow. And this is still is this emission through like a texture or is it actually still just the HDRI
I
in this
think
pic?
there's some emissive elements, yeah, that's
Ah.
refracting through geometry as well.
The thing that I love is that you're actually using the packs that you are selling, and it's like it's so inspiring. Like whenever you see your work, you know that they are actually being used in really really big projects as well. It's not just oh look, it's a pack and wow. It's like no 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 no. The person that is actually creating the pack is actually constantly using whatever he is actually selling. So it's basically like, oh, this is my own arsenal, but I just thought of selling it as well. I think that's where the idea
Yeah.
came from for Victorcraft, right? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I would. Yeah. That's basically it. I use my stuff a lot. I have a library of all this and
mm,
other. You have like a library of textures and library of materials and all that kind of stuff. So it's helpful to have a library of vector graphics and UI elements and all that.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. Okay, now this part. Walk me through it, man. Walk me through it. Like if you're gonna recreate it again, how would you? How did you go by this scene here? Because I feel like it was like a pulse kind of transition, right? Um, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly,
That's um
this one here. It was like a pulse.
just
I
to
feel like a scan, and then you went
right.
outside of the car, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
walk me through it.
the geometry is pretty sure it's something I found on TurboSquid. Like, it's like a part of like a this um futuristic building or something. Let me just
No
look
way!
at it. And because
Wow.
they were like, they had these like cool, soft angles to them, and then I basically took parts of that object and made it symmetrical and built this tunnel out of it
Oh.
and added some elements to it myself, like some of the walls and the ceiling and the floor.
Uh.
Um, yeah, I just spend some time like combining sort of kit bash elements
See.
essentially with my own geometry,
See.
and then
Ah.
the texturing is a combination of like again Vectorcraft or my own library of elements to create these like detailed bump maps and lighting essentially. So it's like an emissive texture, creating the all those like
Ah.
lighting dots and details.
Is this actually substrata? This one, the like the yellow, the blue emission coming out of the geometry. Is that substrate or is that just your something else?
It might be. I'm
Might be.
not sure to be honest. Just by looking at the image, I can't remember, but
Ah.
it definitely might be. And I like play with stretching the textures,
See.
making them super long to create like
Oh.
lines and you know I try a bunch of different things and see
Hmm.
what looks cool. There's no
Hmm.
right or wrong.
All right, now this baby. How this scan came to be, because you had this beautiful, I believe it's again the aberration from the aberration pack, I think. This
Yeah.
super beautiful. Like I cannot stress to because this is gonna go on YouTube hopefully, and I cannot stress to people how much this pack is really helpful. I like that's why I'm speaking about you a lot more, because I feel like people don't know how helpful this is. Like it's insane how much time it saves me and how much like opportunity it gives me. Sometimes I'm just playing with your stuff, either as an emission, either as a texture, as a glass reflection capture, as an HDRI, sometimes just as a background, and then I blur it inside of After Effects. It's just insane, man. It's just insane. So walk me through it. This pulse scan. How can someone create this scan with this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear it's so useful to you and all the ways you're using it in all different ways, because that's basically what I do too. I just pull it in and use it as a lighting element, use it as a texture for an area light, use it on as an HDRI in all different ways.
Mm.
Um, but so a lot of this is actually technically pretty simple. All I'm doing is like shooting an area light through the tunnel, and it just lights up um, the part of the tunnel that it's facing.
Oh wait,
That,
so it's an area light with the texture of
mhm.
an aberration, and you just smooth it through.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my, oh, oh my God. Okay, all right. Just so you know, this is how dumb I can be sometimes. So when I was trying to recreate this kind of effect inside of Cinema 4D, not After Effect, what I would literally do, oh my god, I feel dumb. Okay, sorry. This is gonna sound so dumb. So what I would do, I would take this entire, for example, geometry, this tunnel, I would combine it into one single object, combine and delete,
Mm-hmm.
combine it into one object, and then I will use that texture that you used here just for area light. I would use it for the object, and I will spend, I don't know, 20-30 minutes just trying to get the UV somehow correct, just so that I can scan it through this entire thing, and it will never be perfect. And it's,
Right.
oh my god, I feel dumb. Oh
I
my,
mean, that's the thing. You can do something in like 5 or 10 different ways. That would be another way to do it.
oh,
Um, but I know lining up textures like that can be tricky if you don't
oh,
have proper UVs and stuff. So I always use go for the simplest technical solution often because I'm not a very technical designer basically.
oh. Oh man, thanks for sharing this, because that's gonna save me a lot. Oh my god, I feel so dumb. If you later gonna see this video, you'll see my face expression, man. I feel so dumb. Okay, here. Is this the Insidium thing or?
Yes. Yeah.
Ah,
Super cool plugin. Very useful.
yeah. And this line, is it the atom array, or is it just the mesh to spline, and then you swept it?
I think I can't remember, but I'm guessing it was an atom array because I feel like I had some. The mesh spline was a bit buggy, and I wasn't.
Oh.
I think it was. I think it's atom array.
Hmm.
I mean, it does the same thing at the end of the day, basically.
Yeah. Uh yeah, this project was really, really, really amazing. Like super, 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 super good job. And I'm not sure if you heard this, but thank you so much for actually uploading these many images, even the ones that didn't make it. Thank you so much, because it helps. It did help me on my previous work, this project especially, to get to solve some things that were happening in the game, and they needed some concepts. And this, some of the images, I cannot talk exactly what, so that,
Hmm.
because it's still under NDA, but these images really helped me a lot. So Toros Kose,
Cool.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, so much for
Hey, my
doing this.
pleasure. I'm glad it's helpful.
Oh, and why did not the HUD make it? What was the reason? Like these
You mean this
HUDs?
stuff?
Yeah.
Um, I can't remember right now. It's almost like 2 years ago, I think, or a year and a half ago.
Oh,
I think we felt it was too much or something. Like it was
oh,
too futuristic, too sci-fi maybe.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, so this is what it comes to hybrid. And then just to make sure that I get the most important things out of the way, there's this thing here, and I think it was incredibly beautiful. As simple as you said, as simple as it is, but to me, it just looks really, really incredible. And I think the Instagram stats can actually show you that actually people really love this as well.
Mm.
Where did this idea come from for the data band?
Basically just the elements are these long vector graphics. So I felt like I had to create geometry that fit the graphic.
Mm.
So it just made sense to make these long strips that I could apply the assets to.
Um, oh, so it
Um,
wasn't like a preparation, because I thought that you create assets because, for example, let's just say you knew that you were going to be working, for example, on Tron, or let's just say hybrid, and then you're like, okay, so I'm just going to get these, start preparing these assets. So this was just like
uh,
just on the side.
yeah, this was actually made by one of my Vectorcraft collaborators, Stephen Bussey, and
Mm.
so he just had this idea of he wanted to create these long, infographic assets.
Mm.
And then, yeah, that's Stephen, super talented
Oh.
guy.
Wow.
Um, and so he made them as as a potential Vectorcraft asset, and then we had to figure out a way to promote them and create some sort of like promotional imagery and material for it. So I just that's when I came up with the band's idea. Like it would be cool to have these uh,
Yeah.
info bands on these long geometry strips, basically.
All right. Now, uh, the process for this, I would say, in this picture, it sounds pretty similar, which is just get a sweep, I think a spline, and then sweep it with a box so that you can get
Mhm.
this shape, and then you have, I would say, just the data band literally as it is, as an emission, and just slapped on top of it. Hmm.
That's
But
it.
man, it looks so
You nailed
beautiful.
it.
Here, walk me through, because I can't. I was thinking maybe you did some like a lot of passes, and then you started masking through them, but I don't know how was,
No,
because you have this green and then you have this blue and purple, and you have some aberration, and I'm like, how is that done if the aberration is below the glass? How is that done?
basically what's going on here, it's again simple, technically simple. 'Cause, I can't be bothered to complicate it. um, the the material is like a frosted, like it's basically a glass material with roughness
Roughness. Mm.
cranked up. Not too much, maybe like 50% or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some like what's the setting called? The setting in the glass material that creates some chromatic aberration. Um,
Isn't that uh is that
but
is
the
that actually
colors,
the
the
dispersion, or
yes,
yeah,
that's it,
yeah,
dispersion.
yeah.
But the colors mainly come from um, I literally took some other like vectorcraft, colorful vectorcrafts. You can take any image really,
Uh-huh.
any colorful image, and basically multiply it on in the Cinema 4D material.
Oh.
You multiply it on top of, you combine it basically with the vector asset. So the colors from the colored image um, overlay on the white infographic.
Oh, that makes sense. I don't think I've ever multiplied pictures, to be honest. Uh this is really beautiful. I actually wanted to ask you about, after this. I wanted to ask you about this, that you just released recently, but then, ri- because we were supposed to have this for a long ago, and uh, it just so came that it's this month's subscriber, so I'm not gonna ask you about it. But this is something that I loved how it looked on Tron, so I'll probably just have to literally unlock it so that I can find it out, because I feel like it looks beautiful. You did hard work on it, and it doesn't make sense to me that I just ask you how you did it just here. I want to kind of thank you for also sharing this knowledge. So I'll try to figure that out myself. But yeah, I wanted to ask you something. Probably you've never had this question asked, but this is how I learned about you, and I really remembered your name, because the first how I knew about you first was because of this. I don't know if you even remember this project. This one, the Porsche. This
Mm-hmm.
is how I first ever came through you on Behance, and I remember I really loved how you animated the title. The title was so intricate. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. So, um, yeah, this. Oh, sorry, my internet is not the fastest, I would say. There we go here. All right, loading. There we go. Oh my god, it's still beautiful. Your designs, they stand the test of time. How do you do that? It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it was that was a few years ago now, and It helps when the animation is short because then you can put a lot of work into, a couple of seconds, and you put a
Mm,
lot of detail into a couple of seconds.
yeah.
But yeah.
So I remembered I like this, but yeah, I mean that's how I guess how human being works, or maybe it's just me. Usually I'll just like, but then again, if I see another project and then I see the same icon or the same person, I'm like, oh, so what's his name? And that what's his name was this. This is how I remembered you forever. Was this project? I don't think any project like this ever existed on Behance. And I was like, what is this? And in the beginning, I'm like, so this is just smashed screen. What's so special? But then I didn't close the tab and I kept coming back to it after work. And whenever I start work, like I could just never, ever close this screen. I was like, this is beautiful. This is really beautiful. And the question that I have for you is this actually real or is this just fractal noise After Effect?
It's a real broken screen. Yeah.
How did that happen?
We just had an accident in the studio. I was renting a studio space with
uh,
a couple of friends years
mm,
ago, and we had an accident, and hit one of the screens, and it created this really beautiful crack. And I
it
took a
is.
bunch of photographs of it. And there's a lot of like Lightroom enhancements and color changes and stuff, but it's a real crack.
Oh, this is just an
Yeah.
amazing project.
So
I'll mm,
full disclosure, whenever a screen is getting old and it's starting to break down,
yeah,
I actually intentionally, I've done this a couple times. I've intentionally cracked
smash
it
them.
just to see what happens.
Ah, yeah, this is a crazy project. I think it's been probably I would guess it's been used by people as what do we call that? Like those stock footages. I feel like
Hmm.
people would do that because this is just perfect. Like, why would I smash my own computer if someone else did it for me?
I'm happy to smash my screen for other people to use.
Yeah, so this is how I actually got to know about you, and I'm so happy that I did, and so happy that I decided to get. When I saw this video, I just the potentials that I've seen through your amazing, and I think this got a Vimeo award, if I'm not wrong. This video, I can't open Vimeo here for
I'm not
some
sure.
reason, and yeah, rightfully so. It was really beautiful, and this pack God only knows how much I used it. It's just amazing, and you can see that other people are using it. It's just amazing. This was actually my first ever purchase when it comes to digital assets. This was my first ever purchase, and I never regretted it ever in my life, ever. It's still in my computer. The first thing that I would download when it comes to joining a new company, the first thing that I would download is literally this pack. That's the first digital artist that I will download, and I'll be like, okay, now I feel safe. Now that I have this, now I feel safe. So that's how.
That's,
So
that's
yeah,
nice to hear.
I mean,
I'm glad.
thank you, really. Um, I wanted to ask a lot more, but I don't want to drag this a lot more. Probably for another time. Especially, hopefully, we can talk about when you can the Throne project, because
Hmm.
that's a lot of things that I want to ask about.
Yeah.
Um, Toros Kose, I will really not hold you too much. I could stay here forever, but I just want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for doing this. I never thought that you
Yeah, man.
would ever agree to do this, and it's just a pleasure and an honor in the same time. So not only thank you for the things that you shared, thank you so much for sharing the way you share the projects, the way you're still constantly updating stuff on Vectorcraft. It just helps a lot of people, but I'll just talk about me. It just helps me a lot. I owe most of my salaries to you, to those packs. So thank you so much. And yeah, let's do this again, man.
Yeah, I'm very glad to hear that, and thanks for having me. And yeah, let's happy to do it again. It was
Sure.
fun.
All right, man. You have an amazing, amazing day.
You too. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.